Hello, everybody, and welcome to Talking Void.
Bonjour.
Oh, man, I had to think of something funny to say. Let's see. How are you feeling? Alive?
Yeah. I'm alive. Yeah, I am. No, I'm alive.
Yes, you are. Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talking Void with my very special guest, Erik, who I'm so excited to be able to talk to this evening because of all things that happened on our 1 year anniversary Precipice of Dreams adventure.
And what a celebration that was.
I think that what a celebration it was. I think that I said in my notification, Jasper, join Erik and Jasper as we talk about death and existence. Well, you know what that's going to be about, right? Those are the topics of this evening. Well, death is not the topic. The topic is the War of the Tears Part 3, so to say. And the main topic of the show is what's your favorite plane of existence? But I couldn't have wished for a better guest for the first topic at least. We discussed a bit about the planes already, and Erik said, I have to read up on them. But then that's not entirely true, but because I think that indirectly you have got a lot of experience on this topic. Chat's going okay already. Thanks all for coming. I already said hello to some of you, but hello Maurol, and hello Hibi, and hello. I think I said hello to everybody else. But welcome to the chat.
Welcome everybody.
Yeah. So before we do anything else, let's talk some socials really quick. If you do !! socials in the chat, you see our link tree. And if you press on that, you can link to all of our socials. But the most important ones for us are both Twitch and YouTube. Please like everything you see there. If you like it, of course. And follow us on both those channels. That will help us out greatly. And join our Discord to see Erik is a bit louder than Jasper. I'll put him less loud, so to say, and then you have to put up your volume just a bit because I can't get any louder.
Whisper.
Join our Discord because it's fun to have our community there, and I think Roger will be doing another Dungeon Master Corner soonish, and that's always informative.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's everything about our socials. So the thing that I'm most looking forward to is next Monday, because then we'll be doing the Precipice of Dreams again. And I'm so eager to return to that setting that we were in, because, as some of you might know, it was quite a deadly setting. And we had a lot
spoilers
of fun
for everyone who hasn't seen the episode yet.
Yeah, but we've decided to at least presume that they have seen it, because otherwise we always have to talk in such vague terms that it gets difficult. And hopefully it stimulates some of our Talking Void viewers to watch more of our Precipice of Dreams adventure if they know that someone is going to die eventually.
Yeah. Hey, I'm dead, so all the more reason to watch the show.
Guess who's dead? I wanted to say, but he spoiled it. The day after that, there will be another Jasper's Laboratory, for which I do not really have a new topic yet. And I was wondering if you had some ideas in chat, so I could incorporate that. Otherwise, I'll come up with my own thing. I have a list of topics, so I can always pick one. And the week after that, we'll be doing another Parallel Projections on Monday again, but we'll be changing it up for that one. I think.
Yeah. Sorry, that wasn't excited. Yes.
So I think Misha said something about this on Parallel Projections yesterday, and we'll be doing a kind of a one-shot, and probably we'll have some very special guests who will join us, and we'll be doing it under the banner of our very own Ashley, who is in chat. I think we've decided on that. If not, if we are changing it up again, I don't know what. But yeah. Can we say the other join? Can we?
No. Let's keep it a surprise until everything is.
Well, maybe. Let's keep the other guests a surprise. But I think they will be announced soonish, right, Michelle? Anyway.
Yeah. Michelle is in chat right now, so if you have questions about it, just ask Michelle. And Quake.
I just waved. I will be terrible at this. No, you will not be terrible at this. Man, I've seen you be a dungeon master by now, and I know you are in control. So, that's cool.
Yeah, you've never seen me DM, so everything is good in comparison.
Indeed. It will be glorious, says Michelle. So, without further ado, let's go into the introduction. Hello, we're back. Yeah, chat is saying, and our super secret, super special guest might be or not be in chat right now. Yeah, man.
we have someone among us.
Yeah. It's an imposter? No, it's not
an imposter. No, it's not an imposter.
Yeah.
But a super secret guest.
Super secret
Can you guess
guest.
who it is?
Yeah, if you guess right, I meant Ashley. Okay. We'll be talking about that later. But for now, welcome, Vix, by the way. This is going so... I don't know how this is going, but you know what I mean. Let's talk about the War of Tears, part 3. Let's start there.
Yeah, it was an awesome episode, man. Enjoyed it very much.
Yeah.
I think most of the viewers enjoyed it, so...
Yeah, did you enjoy it, chat? And do you have any questions for us? Because please put four of your questions if you want. Because that would be great. But yeah, the War of Tears. I think, last episode on Talking Void, we had Michelle as a guest. Michelle was with me here in my own home, which was so much fun. And we talked about the first 2 episodes, and we were talking about how successful we had been at subverting the guards and everything, and walking up 7 levels to enter the tree, and to we were quite confident, so to say. But then, Mireille says the only question that matters, why? Well, the why question is the best question out there, as you might understand. For those who don't know me, I'm a philosopher by study, so to say. So, why? But Erik, then we came into this room, and there were a lot of guards, and there were a lot of dogs, and there were a lot of things that were, well, there, so to say. What was your initial thought when we entered that room?
We can take him. That's my initial thought in every encounter we do. And Roger, is a bit of a diehard DM. So we found that out last episode, where if you didn't know by now, I lost my character, Thomas. He fell. He fell during glorious battle. Yeah. Yeah, and unfortunately. That was... we ended on a low note, not on a high note, episode. But my initial thought was, this is an encounter and it should be balanced, right? So we have nothing to fear. And then I entered the encounter. That was my initial thought. Your initial thought?
Right. That's such a millennial kind of thought that you had there. We are a kind of pre-millennials, I think. So that's not happening.
Yeah, and my thought was, well, we are main characters on this show.
Yeah.
What's the worst that can happen?
Well, you die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of a deadly encounter, but I think we messed up as well, both in roles and both in tactics. I think I actually made the first mistake by going towards your echo, and that was that for me. It was quite ineffective after that, and that's because I didn't know what how your echo worked. But then again, Bowen didn't either, so it's kind of realistic, but it's kind of sad as well. And then I rolled 2 natural ones as well. You started attracting a lot of arrows. So Essen says, why did Thomas try to attract the arrows, even though he was in bad health compared to many of his companions?
Yeah, because my health was just a little better than Bowen at the moment, or so I thought. In hindsight, I didn't fill in my my hit points correctly on the battle screen, though I did in my character sheet. And afterwards, I thought, oh, this might have been a bad idea. But
Oh,
I thought I had more health at the moment, and Bowen was taking a lot of hits and had a lot of enemies around him. So yeah, my main idea was try to get the attention of the archers so Bowen can survive another round.
oh, that's so sad. You know,
Yeah, that was really the thought that entered my head. For, oh, I must protect Bowen, and I think Thomas would have done the same. So my character would have done the same.
So I think you got 20 damage, right?
Yeah, Roger just rolled a natural 20 on the hit with the arrow. One of them missed and one of them was a 20 damage. Yeah, and that I went down. And Roger always said to us, I play guards like they would act in real life. And yeah, neutralize a threat. That was the option of the guard that was right next to me. So
Yeah, true. But you know why I kept shouting pick me because although I liked your heroics, that 20 damage would have been a DC 10 dexterity save for me, and then I would have absorbed the arrow into the void.
okay, yeah, I didn't know that. So
Yeah, but that's so cool.
we should
you know?
learn more about each other's characters. That's the most important thing we learned last encounter.
The funny thing is that he missed me with all his arrows, so I didn't get the chance to show you that I could do this. And,
No, I had no idea, and
it didn't happen in the previous fights as well. And so this was interesting as well, because I kind of think we did the combat in 2 different ways. We had a kind of meta discussion, which we talked about earlier, and that we want to have this meta discussion because, well, the combat is getting more difficult every time, and we certainly feel that it is getting more difficult.
yeah,
Though maybe the Imara fight was harder than this one in a certain regard.
the Imara fight was harder than this one. This was well, not an easy encounter compared to the Imara fight, but certainly, well, if you have to speak in D&D terms, the threat level was lower.
Yeah, in a way, yeah.
Yeah.
But the number of attacks that we got at the same time were a lot higher this time. And that's what made it harder, I think, because we could keep up with the number of enemies that were in Imara's lair, so to say, and we could kill them off before the next wave came onto us. And that made it manageable. But this time, they all came towards us, and we were locked into the hallway, so to say.
I do see. Esner says 1 year and your party members still didn't know each other. Here's a rule of thumb: Bowen has all the abilities you can imagine. Yeah, that's true. No, but we try to keep our character sheets not per se secret for each other, but we don't look at each other's character sheets because we like to surprise each other as much as the audience during combat. So my shadow form ability was a surprise to everyone when I first used it, and same for Bowen when he started using his dark form and his stretchy form. Yeah, that was a big surprise, and the reactions that it evoked to the other party members was also, yeah, it was a very awesome reaction during the show, and we try to do that as much as possible. And yeah, that means we don't know each other's characters as well as we should, maybe.
Yeah.
Or a regular D&D party, but
I don't know. Is that normal? I don't know. But it also touches on something else. I did a Jasper's Laboratory last Tuesday, where I said that if you're a dungeon master and you pit a party versus a party, then the party will win instead of your party, because you have to control like 5 to 8 characters, for example, and the party each has its own character and has a history with that character. And that's the same here. The same thing happens the other way. That's to say, you know your own character the best, and you don't really know the ins and outs of certain features that are part of the other characters. And even though I created the sheets and put in all the special features of your Echo Knight, for example, and I read through them all, I didn't remember those aspects that might have saved me in that regard. Yeah. Or saved us, so to say. Yeah.
But it's impossible to know all the classes from just reading them once. I'm a DM, for example, and I don't know all my players' classes. I always say to them, know your own character, and as soon as you have a question that you can't figure out, just let me know, and I'll look it up in the book. But yeah, the same is for us. We don't know each other's characters' abilities. And we are not.
Yeah, and I've been building on the sheet, and I think that I've included up to like 1,700 class abilities, a lot of feats, like 750 spells, and a lot of racial features, so to say, and that makes for a tremendous amount of information that can be shared between characters, so to say.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, how long was the party in the... Okay. What's happening? And that has been cool. And Michel gives a wink. Whoa, things are happening. It's going
fast. The chat is very fast right now.
Oh, it did take many weeks before we even had a clue as to the classes of the player characters. Didn't even know each other's classes or species. Yeah, there we go. Pretty sure one was obvious from the start.
Yeah, the big chicken in the room.
Yeah. Oh, do we have to call him a chicken again? Yep. At Marinades, it is the best and most powerful land. Swamp. Oh yeah. They're talking Magic the Gathering again. Ashley does a solving emote. Misha says, although I would describe Oddleaf more as being blue. Haha, big chicken in the room. Okay, so chat is having fun. Let's put it that way.
Chat is having fun.
Then the other thing is, what I thought was pretty funny when we ended the show. Roger asked me, Jasper, are you all right?
Yeah, because how did you enjoy the show last time? Because you asked me the question, but how did you enjoy, or how did you experience last episode?
Well, the way I wanted to experience it. That's what I have to say about that, because I was feeling really sad, but I have been looking forward to that moment for like 25 years, to experience a moment where a party member dies and you feel that loss of a friend. And I've never experienced that in Dungeons and Dragons before, mostly because I'm the dungeon master all the time, and this was the first time that it happened. The only thing I now have to experience is my own death, so to say, in a non-sacrificial way, because I did do that. But yeah, I really like the fact that I had that experience by now. And that was what Roger was referring to. And he said he felt kind of guilty because he wanted us to enjoy the evening, so to say. And I said, well, no, I did enjoy it because this is the experience that I wanted out of the game. So, yeah.
And let me first say to Roger, you should feel guilty. Okay?
There you go.
No. Roger, built an awesome adventure and built awesome encounters, and it's just the way it went. And I don't feel sorry for it one moment. Yeah, I feel sorry that I lost my character, but I really enjoyed playing that encounter, and eventually losing my character. It's also I felt the loss a bit. I actually dreamt about it the other night. That I love that Thomas says something to me like, "Why did you do that to me?" or something like that. It was a very stupid dream, but I really felt the loss of my character, and I felt the loss of all my characters that I lost, mostly due to your hands, by the way. But it is what it is, and let's just continue our journey without Thomas or with Thomas. You'll never know.
Indeed. Let's see what will happen. Let's not spoil anything about that either. That wouldn't be great. Then let's talk about the things that went pretty well. For example, Solwing's dive into the room and setting Petal to free her mother. And that was a great one, right?
That was absolutely amazing. Oh, sorry. Did you want me to elaborate?
Yeah. Because I'm the host and I want to have you talking about everything.
Yeah.
Because I talk so much.
Yeah. But what do you want to know exactly? So,
what did you think about the other? We did the encounter to free the queen, so to say. What do you think about that part of the encounter?
Yeah, I really loved the queen mechanic because in hindsight, the queen had a countdown timer, and the encounter would have ended with her release. So to say, so I think this would have happened. I think that's how it works a bit, because when the queen got released, the encounter ended a little bit
faster. She did some great magic. Fix, by the way, says, elaborate on a talk show? Never.
But I really loved the part that Solwing played in it, and I don't think the whole party would have made it if Solwing didn't intervene with the two magic casting characters, because they were damn scary. Yeah. Normally, I don't pay much attention to mages. I just blast them or hit them with a sword. But this was we were locked in combat, and we had nowhere to go, and they were just ready to bombard us with all kinds of nasty stuff. Yeah, so I'm really glad Solwing broke away and took care of that.
And don't you dislike offense squirks? With their spirit guardians and their hammers.
Oh no! I do love clerks. I almost played a clerk once.
As an opponent, man, they are so hard.
Yeah. I do dislike them because they are, and they can heal your enemies, and that's very scary. The moment that you think that you're downing one of the big guys, suddenly a heal spell, and you actually experience it in reverse. Normally, you heal the party with 10 healing spells in one combat, and then suddenly the enemy is doing it, and it really starts to worry you, because the really hard hitters are still hitting you, and you have to take care of the magic caster who is in a safe distance behind them. So Solwing's part was excellent, was amazing during the combat. Really enjoyed Solwing. I always enjoy Solwing. Solwing is one of my favorite party members. One of my top 4 party members.
I think you're in my top 4 as well by now.
Yeah.
You were out of it for a while.
After I threatened you with
man, I still well, talking about the things when the moment when things became real, I think that's when it became real for me. So thank you for that.
When I threatened your life.
Thank you for all those Thomas moments that we will never experience again.
I do. It is a loss, I feel. I do, and
it is a loss.
I really wanted to play. I really had great plans with Thomas, and But Thomas has always had a duality within him with pleasing Sir Gunther and becoming a knight, and the darker side with his dark past, and it doesn't come to fruition now, and that really bugs me.
Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah.
Yeah.
It really
But
bugs me
hey,
that I can't have my conversations with Bowen Goodhart with you.
yeah, yeah.
Fixed Roll says, hey, the enemy isn't allowed to heal. That's cheating. Well, do you do
Well,
this often as a dungeon master, Eric? When an enemy drops to 0, you just forget about him?
well, actually, Uh, I don't enter many magic casters in my combats because I really despise using magic as a player and as a DM. I think it's a lot of fuss and yeah. So 9 times out of 10, I don't employ magic casters. So I've never used healing spells for my big bad evil guys or my baddies.
Hmm.
I did give some guys a healing potion though a couple of times. So they were low on health, and then they suddenly chucked a healing potion, and they were back in the fight, and that scared my players as well.
Yeah.
And I think I played a cleric. I entered a cleric in combat once, but he got blasted off his feet within the first round. So never
Yeah.
got off one of those healing spells.
I had an encounter where, which was pretty funny what they had to say about that, but where I had, I think, 14 enemies against a party of 7, but they didn't come all at once. And each of these characters had a healing potion and a greater healing potion on them, which made it very interesting because the characters can drink a healing potion as a bonus action, but they can as well then.
Yeah.
And then they said, well, Jasper will never allow us to pick up all these potions if these characters die, which I thought was pretty funny because they sometimes still slip into a kind of World of Warcraft setting instead of them just having that on their party. So afterwards, they really had a lot of greater healing potions and healing potions.
Yeah, that's amazing, and then I just love I just love the realistic way of employing villains, and not so much the mechanic way of employing villains. Like villains do flee when they're low on hit points, and they're outnumbered, or villains do plead for their lives if they got caught. And yeah, I don't like the run of the mill. Here's 20 goblins and just slay them, and they run at you screaming and die by the hundreds.
Yeah.
So chugging healing potions for evil characters, yeah, I like that. I like that very much.
Misha says, I just had a question. Do I remember correctly that Solving took damage from the Spirit Guardians on cast? And I think that Michelle is referring to this because Spirit Guardians triggers when you first enter or at the start of your round. And there's a thing where first entering is a thing that some dungeon masters resolve as having to actively walk into it instead of already being there on cast.
Yeah, I actually looked this up for my party, which I ran last Saturday. And the rules as written are that if you enter the area on your own terms, like with a movement, then you get that damage, or if you start your turn. And it's not because it would mean double damage for every time you cast a spell, and that would be too strong.
Yeah, so but Roger apparently didn't do it that way, and I think he had reasons for that. And I think that's because you also have like the firewall spells that that deal damage immediately, but then on your turn you have a chance to walk out of the area before it deals damage again. So that's the payoff between these two kind of features. Yeah.
Yeah. So it triggers either at the beginning of the turn or at the end of the turn. And if it triggers at the beginning of the turn, it won't affect you the moment it's cast. And that's my rule. And I think it's meant that way because I looked up the errata last Saturday, and it stated it clearly that it was meant that way. So, but okay, we're going too far into the rules right now. So
No, I think it's a fun thing to discuss for a moment
yeah.
because yeah, that's how you sometimes rule as a dungeon master.
Mhm.
I have no bad feelings about that or anything. It's just how
No,
it went, and that it wasn't a decisive factor as well. So
no.
yeah,
Because Solwing survived it the entire combat. So
yeah. Okay, so I think that's enough about the War of Tears, right?
yeah, yeah. I'm very excited to see what the future holds for me. If I
Yeah,
will be able to play with you guys anymore, or if you are going to cast me out of the party, or
well, probably that.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. So if you want to solicitate for Eric's job on our show, just send in a
Hmm.
resume,
Yeah.
and we'll discuss it without him present, so that we'll have a clear idea of who you are, and if you can join us on our live streams. Well, man,
Okay.
this should have
Well,
been the introduction joke of the episode. Anyway, let's get into our main topic, right?
the main topic.
So, what is your favorite plane of existence? And
Well.
let's immediately start with a kind of a big screen thing,
Mhm.
because I really liked what we did in the previous episode, so I'm going to do that again. Whoop.
Yeah. Just one thing before we go into the topic. Screw you, Michelle. You just ruined my joke in the last episode. I just saw it.
There you
I had
go.
all those awesome plane jokes like Boeing 747 or something like that, but hey, you just ruined it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I now see that Michelle had another question for the previous thing, but
Mhm.
what would you have thought if Oddleif would have fled?
Glad. Um, in game, I would have understood it. Out of game, I would have cursed you. But
There you
no,
go.
I think Thomas would have understood the situation because, yeah, Oddleif, as she has displayed many times before, isn't a fighter by heart. So she's put in this situation and she has to manage it. And she has great skills, but still, she hasn't chosen the fighting way of life. So I would have understood it from a character point of view. From a player point of view, I would have cursed you through all the planes.
Talking about planes.
Talking about planes.
Segue into that. Here they are. Well, here they are. Here's a list of some of your favorite planes. We did another one
Okay.
of these. There were a lot more things that could be considered an answer to this question.
Hmm.
But here we go. Here we see some of your favorite planes. So what
Okay.
immediately stands out is the prime. I just called it the prime here, which is of course the prime material plane.
Yeah.
And that has the largest amount of people who like that plane, which is pretty okay, I think, because
Hmm.
most adventures really take place on the prime material plane.
Yeah.
And then a close second, well, not a close second, a second and third are the Feywild and the astral plane.
It's very wild in the astral plane. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we have some others like Elysium. Oh, funny answers isn't really a thing, but
Mhm.
other some answers, and the Shadowfell. But the others are all kind of ones or twos, considering we had like more than 80 answers, which I must say was a bit of a surprise in the positive sense, because I would have thought that this would be a difficult answer.
What
Uh,
does
difficult question.
surprise me, yeah, what really does surprise me is that the Abyss, well, not the Abyss maybe, but the Shadowfell, that it scored so low because, Curse of Strahd, which is one of the most popular adventures to date for 5th edition, takes place in a demi-plane of the Shadowfell, right? Or
Well, yeah, it's I don't know how it goes anymore. I think is it in the demi-plane of dread? It's a kind of
Yeah, it's
and is that
one of
still
the.
floating in the ethereal, or is that part of the Shadowfell? I don't know because in second edition it was the demi-plane of shadow which drifted
Mhm.
in the ethereal plane, but they
Oh,
changed
okay.
that up through editions. So I think it's the demi-plane of dread,
Hmm.
and it floats in still floats in the ethereal, or it's connected to the Shadowfell. I don't know. Maybe someone in chat can clarify that.
I think it was connected to the Shadowfell, but I could be wrong because I've played fourth and fifth edition and 3.5, and all the lore is starting to kind
Mess you up.
of mess you up. Yeah, and I also employ my own lore. We do play in well, the Forgotten Realms, but I use my own version of the Forgotten Realms, so I don't know what's the main lore at the moment.
Yeah. So my mindset
Yeah.
is kind of second edition in this
Hmm.
because I think it was the coolest right then.
Yeah.
And this translates somewhat of what you. Well, for example, there's like one answer that says the elemental planes, for example,
Hmm.
and I think there's one that says that made a reference to the quasi elemental planes,
Hmm.
which is a part of second edition lore. Uh,
Yeah, and also fifth edition lore now.
yeah, it is.
Yeah,
Are
yeah,
the
because
quasi still in there?
you have the borders between
Yeah, yeah. And
the elemental planes.
and are the para elemental planes still there?
Well, it doesn't sound familiar, and I've never played second, so I
Yeah.
don't think they do.
So in second edition, well, are we going to? No, let's go into that a bit further into the show. But yep, Demi-Plane of Dread used to be ethereal, now in the Shadowfell.
Okay,
And
so
it used
Michel
to be
clarified
the
it.
Demi-Plane of Shadow, so in
Yeah.
the ethereal. Yeah. Um, but I really keep to my second edition ID, and I think that Michel
Mhm.
did drop a map. Well, actually, dropped a map in on the Facebook page, and Michel did drop one as well. And I think that the one Michel dropped is the one that I like the most. I knew this would be the nerdiest topic when I suggested it. Says Ashley,
Yeah.
"Yeah, it will be so nerdy."
And
Yeah.
actually, I'm not that familiar with the planes of existence in D&D because for most of my life I've been a Warhammer 40k or Warhammer Fantasy player. So I just dabbled into the D&D lore, I think about 8 years ago, and then we
Only
played
8 years.
yeah, and then we played your campaign. So I just got bits and pieces of it, and only the last 4 or 5 years I've been really starting to brush up on my lore, on my Forgotten Realms lore. So.
Yeah, yeah. So that's the other thing because the adventure that you're playing with me is
Mhm.
not set in the Dungeons and Dragons
Nope.
multiverse, but in its own kind of
Multiverse.
cosmology.
Mhm.
So that's quite different. You have spirit planes there, and there's kind of an astral plane and ethereal, by the way. And there are kind of well, there's a lot of planes, but it's
Mhm.
quite different uh, from the normal Dungeons and Dragons multiverse.
Mhm.
So you couldn't do it. But I do run another game or two other games which is thoroughly connected to the multiverse. So
Okay.
I have a lot of knowledge about it. So this is my first thing I wanted to show you. So other things, well, it was has been said in chat that it's, the nine hells, also called Bator,
Mhm.
um, is represented by just two votes, as is the Abyss, which I thought, yeah,
Hmm.
was a bit different than what I would have thought. But
Yep.
then, for example, Bitopia was mentioned twice as well. Carcery and Elysium. Elysium
And
was
what?
actually mentioned 4 times, and that really surprised me.
Okay, and what is Bitopia? Because of all the planes I see stated here, I don't know Bitopia.
Well, Bitopia is kind of is in between now I have to put it right. Let me say it's in between Mount Celestia and Elysium, so to say on the alignment axis.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes it so that it is kind of a lawful good with a tendency to neutral good kind of plane, which has two layers that are opposite of each other, and so when you look up, you see the other layer.
Okay.
And it is most known for the pantheon of Carl Glittergold, the gnomish pantheon.
Sorry. Carl Glittergold. Yeah. Okay. That should. It sounds like a character that I could have made up.
Yeah, but it's a
Or
gnomish,
my brother, for that instance.
Yeah, it's a gnomish god, so you can imagine why that is. It's a nice plane to visit, so to say. One of my characters had a die that he could roll, and one of the sides was set to Bitopia. No, that's not true. He could make his wizard tower shift it to so that it would give him a view of Bitopia. That's what it did. Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. And he was a gnome, so to say, and he worshipped Carl Glittergold. So, he was actually a wizard, but he worshipped Carl Glittergold, not as a priest, but you know.
It sounds like the Karl Lagerfeld of D&D.
Yeah, Carl Glittergold, even better, right? Okay. Planescape map is the best map. The artwork is so awesome, says Michel. It's so weird and is inconsistent and random. Exactly what the map of the plane should be. There are 2 campaign books for 5th in the Abyss, right?
No, actually there aren't.
Oh, there's one, right?
There's one. And it's not Out of the Abyss, what you should have guessed. Because Out of the Abyss actually doesn't take place in the Abyss.
So what is the one that is in the Abyss then?
That is, I've got it right over here, Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus.
Which isn't in the Abyss.
Oh no, that's also not the Abyss. No, so there are no books on the Abyss at the moment.
Yeah, but I think that in Descent into the Abyss, you do get to meet kind of an abyssal lord, right?
Yeah. Spoiler territory for everyone who wants to play the adventure, but you do get in touch with creatures from the Abyss, but you do not enter the Abyss, at least not to my knowledge. I haven't read the whole book from cover to cover, so I could be wrong, but correct me if I'm wrong in chat.
Going back to the Abyss, says Ashley, seeing how popular tieflings are in 5th edition, I really thought more people would be into that area. Yeah, but those are often also more related. Those, you know, the 5th edition tiefling is based on Bator, not on the Abyss, because you have the optional sub-species where you can choose actually a heritage that corresponds to a layer of Bator and not to a layer of the Abyss.
Avernus. But Bator is the same as
Avernus is the first layer of Bator.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay. Then you have this. Then you have there are 9. It's
9 layers of hell.
Yeah. So the lower you get, the more deadly it becomes. And each layer has its own Lord of the 9 Hells.
Yep.
So yeah.
So the deadliest encounters are at the lowest point of hell.
That's not really actually, because most of the armies are get to Avernus before they walk the lower planes and move their way up to the Abyss. So in a way, the first layer is the most deadly because the most armies are walking around there. And they have all the types of devils running around. Yeah. So this is also a distinction. Now we're getting into the nerd stuff. So in 2nd edition, they were called the Batezu and the Tanari, which is still referenced to in their description, but demons and devils have taken over as a name, which I think is pretty... I don't like that. Let's put it that way, because I think the Tanari and the Batezu give more a sense of their own universe.
But I do think they did it because of marketing purposes. It's easier to say demons, devils, dragons. That's something that the regular audience knows and can relate to, instead of whatever you said just before that, the Batu and the
Batezu and the Tanari. But they have kept because I think between the Abyss and Bator, you have Gehenna, the Grey Waste, and Carcery. And one of them could have been called Hades, for example, and they didn't change that into a more normal folklore kind of thing. And that goes for a lot of these things, where they kept the real names, although some have a strong relationship to, for example, the first layer of Arborea is still called Olympus, which refers to the Greek gods. But then the Elven Pantheon lives on that same layer and has its own area there. Okay. So, it's complicated, so to say. Yeah. But then Elysium is there with 4 votes in this regard. It's a small sample pool, so if we had 1,000 people, those numbers would shift, of course. You can't really say anything about it that much. But Elysium is kind of, I think, if I understand correctly, you kind of have Arcadia and Elysium, which are both kind of Roman god-themed things, where the one is the more excessive kind of heaven, and the other is the more rigid kind of heaven.
Might be. I've never brushed up on lore of the heavens. I always put my players right through hell. So
yeah, well, you can have very interesting adventures on the good planes as well. So that brings me to the next slide. That is this one. Can you see it?
Yes. Not mentioned.
Acheron, Arcadia, Gehenna, the Grey Waste, and Pandemonium. Those were at least the outer planes that weren't mentioned, and then of course the not mentioned were the quasi-elemental planes. The para-elemental planes weren't mentioned, but the quasi-elemental planes weren't mentioned. But I might have reversed these. I don't know for certain. But the thing that stood out to me the most is Pandemonium, because I would have thought that since Critical Role, Pandemonium would really have taken off, because they set a kind of a double one shot in there, the search for Grog and what happened after the search of Grog. Grog. And I thought that would have flung Pandemonium in some more lore. And it is strongly related to Thanatos, or the death cult, so to say, of Orcus. And so it has a lot of lore behind it that's very interesting. It is the plane where most gods hide their secrets in pockets full of howling, maddening winds. And would have thought that at least that one would have gotten.
Would have entered, yeah.
And then I really like Acheron myself, so which is kind of.
What's your favorite plane? Because
I think.
Is there a favorite plane that you love, or do you love all the planes equally?
Well, I love all the planes equally, but some are more equal than others, so to say. So my favorite planes are Arborea, but it is especially the third layer of Arborea, which is Paleon, which my Dark Earth campaign setting has a strong relationship to that plane, or to that layer, and I sent my characters there a lot of times. So yeah, that one has my love, but we'll be getting to Arborea soonish.
Okay.
SNSS, Misha says Elysium can be very scary. Well, if you have an example, then I surely want to know. And Aspen says, but wait, there seems to be a typo. In the world of the Precipice, aren't there dreams of existence? Yeah, so let's go to the next slide before we get into... Oh, no, I wanted to say... No, let's go into the next slide. But now I'm kind of... maybe it's a good idea if you ask the questions from now on, because I'm feeling like there will be a waterfall of sound coming from my mouth in the next hour or so.
do I have to ask the questions? Yeah, because like I said to you before the show, I don't have a lot of experience on planes, and I do love this episode, so I will do my utter best to answer most of the questions. But you have a lot of knowledge from your 50 years of experience in D&D.
Well, now it's 50. Yeah. That's because I live every year twice, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. Jasper starts every segment discussion of the planes with a 2-sentence description of the plane. Well, okay, so you might expect that. Okay,
for
so
Eric and for
prime
the
material
viewers.
plane. You've got the two boundary planes. You have the two transition planes. You have the 18 inner planes and the 17 outer planes, and then you kind of have Sigil as well. I will not be doing a slide for every
every single plane. No, and
weird, so to say.
And I've watched a lot of plane videos for the Forgotten Realm, so I'm kind of familiar with them, and I have all the books behind me. So sometimes I just pick up a book and just start reading through it, just a couple of pages, just to familiarize myself with planes and with the D&D lore. So.
Yeah. So I will be when there will be a specific plane discussed in the post, I will explain something about that plane before we go into the topic.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, one picture can tell more than 1,000 minutes of Jasper explaining. Wow. Everyone get comfy. Jasper has 200 slides and lots of notes. That Bishop questions. Can it do? Oh, man.
Okay, well, and it's so true. So let's just continue the show.
There we go. Let's go to the next slide. Yeah. Jay says, big fan of the X-plane, but Y and Z are tied for a pretty close second.
That could have been...
I put these in for you. Ben says airplane, calls airplane. Mm-hmm. I had to include
Damn it, Michelle!
Michelle! Yeah. If you want to know why Eric is shouting, you should see our Instagram post or watch our previous Talking Void episode, especially the ending. So those are two funny ones. The plane of Jasper's infinite explanations. Well, I had this thing when I was doing Jasper's laboratory last week that I thought, well, man, I'm repeating myself kind of, and I don't know if I'm telling the truth, but at least it's my truth, right? So
at least it is.
Yeah. So these are two small topics. Jay and Ben, thank you very much for the funny answers. There were a lot of other funny answers. There were one where it said the prime material plane, because when I add I into that, it spells pimp. So it are those kinds of jokes that can be made when you, and a Fokker. So, then Dyson says the prime material, because that's where the action is. Also, I keep all my stuff there. So funny enough, the answers were kind of a bit shorter than on the previous episode where it was about classes. I would have thought that when you would talk about the Abyss, you would say that the whole story to tell about the Abyss, because I specifically said and why, but you know. But these answers came up. And I kind of like this because it does explain a lot of why the prime material is preferred, namely that it is because we kind of live there. So what is the prime material plane, for those who do not know? The prime material plane is the universe, the normal universe, so to say. And in these, that's why I included the second one. Benjamin says, I like in order my own homebrew world, Athas, Ravenloft, Faerun, Ravnica, and Eberron. Which I think is kind of a mistake.
Yeah, because the last two aren't planes, but are primaterial planes on their own, right?
So Athos is a world. That's the Dark Sun thing. Ravenloft is a domain. Faerun is a world. Or that's kind of a realm. I think the world is called Torhol, right? Or am I...
For Ravenloft?
Yeah, no,
Ravenloft...
No, for Faerun.
Oh, Faerun. Faerun is in Toril, yes. So you have the main...
Yeah.
The plane is called Toril. Faerun is the continent, and the Sword Coast is the
area where most
within the continent. Yeah.
So Ravnica, that's kind of a split thing, which is run according to magic lore. And Eberron, I'm not so certain. I've never really gotten into the Eberron lore, but I think the world itself has a different name than just Eberron. But I'm not certain about that.
Look it up. Just keep talking. You do you. I'll just look up the Eberron setting.
Yeah, okay. Misha says he's just mentioning his favorite planes in order. Prime, his own homebrew first. Yeah, it could be, but that's not actually why I included it, though. It is because it explains a lot of why so many people feel the love for the place they come from, and it has to do with the fact that you mostly start your adventures walking around on a certain world. And after that, you sometimes have step into a different plane, but you often return afterwards to your material plane. And I think I've seldom seen an adventure that really started as a planes adventure. So maybe you were born on the Beastlands, for example, or you are a petitioner on the Outlands, or whatever. A petitioner, by the way, is someone who died but has a life then on the plane that he was most connected with when he was still on the prime material, which is they are at peace in a certain way with their realm or their god, but you might think that this is a bit different for those who come to Bator, for example. Although
for more questions, go to jasperpedia.com.
Jasperpedia, yeah. But I kind of like the answer because it gave some perspective on how all these settings really involve kind of normal worlds that built on themes that we all know, like heroic themes or futuristic or technological or horror and stuff. And they are kind of the core of what we are doing, right?
Yeah, they are. And I have to say, Ravnica and Eberron will be planes of existence in my campaign that my players can travel to in the future. So, in their adventure. So I employ them as planes.
You employ them as planes, not as worlds.
Yeah, I'm going to employ them as planes and not as worlds on their own.
And
still
why?
Don't know how and why, because I just think it's cool to put my players through different settings without having them to travel to other worlds, and just use planar gates to all the other planes of existence. Ashley says, and Theros. No, not Theros.
Not Theros. Well, we know that's your favorite one, Ashley. It wasn't in here. No.
Theros is an awesome setting, and I really love it. But your players have to be tied into the heroic character stuff, and my campaign is just not tied into the heroic character stuff.
Yeah, I like the Greek mythology kind of setting, and the funny thing is that it is next to the Greek mythology that has already been implemented into the multiverse, so to say.
Yeah.
Because Gehenna and Arborea, for example,
Mm-hmm.
are the places where those gods reside.
Yeah.
Mount Olympus is where Zeus lives, and then the river Styx is even a connective river that flows from across all the lower plains and binds them together.
Yeah. Just to be sure, just to intervene, I've paged through the Eberron book, and the setting and world is called Eberron, and the continent is Corvair. I am butchering the name right now, but that's how I'll say it. So.
Well, maybe they needed butchers there, No, it's all good. So and then across the outer plains you have these three big things, namely the river Oceanus, which or four actually, which binds together the good plains, and it flows. You can really move across the river Oceanus and move in between these infinite plains because they kind of shift the lands around them, and then you come into the next one. Then you have the river Styx, which is drawn, of course, from Greek mythology, which flows through the lower plains, and which is kind of a scary thing because you should not fall into that because then you get memory wiped. And then you have Yggdrasil, the world tree, which has its branches into a number of outer plains, especially where there are gods that are connected to the Norse mythology.
Okay, so you have Norse mythology mixed with Greek mythology, right?
No, they're all there. That's the fun thing. You have Egyptian mythology is there, but you have Arborea. That's where the Greek mythology is, but that's also where the Syrian court is the Elven court.
The Sealy court, yeah.
No, it's not. It's not that one, because the Sealy is more like the Fae, and that's in the Feywild, right?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah. And then you have the plane of Isgard, which is where the Norse gods reside. And I think there you also have the Celtic gods in there somewhere. I think they stay on the Outlands mostly. Not certain about that one. And the Egyptian, well, for example, the city of the dead is on Pelion, which is the third layer of Arborea. That's a plane of dust and forgotten things and titans that have their dead arms sticking out of the dust desert.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and that's my favorite layer, as I told you.
You should elaborate more after chat, after the show. I really want to hear about the plane.
Okay, well, let's make an afternoon out of it then, Erik.
Yeah, okay, let's make an afternoon out of it.
Yeah. I'm suddenly realizing that I shifted away from my mic because I was getting comfy. But the prime material is the source of all these things, of course. And I think that when you but then Teros is quite different because I think the gods are just beyond a veil that's so near to that world that you can see them walking around and things.
Yeah.
So that makes for a kind of a different explanation. 200 threads, Erik.
Still 800 to go.
Yeah. Am I talking too much? Because if I'm talking too much, you can also ask me questions in between, prolonging the show even further. I don't mind.
No, I'm dreading to ask you questions because the show is awesome. But let's go to the next next answer.
Top Down Tabletop says, a little demi-plane of mirrors I included in my campaign one time. I was really fun getting my players to engage with that because had they gone about entering the plane in the wrong way, a hostile duplicate of them would have been created, leading to a fight. They managed to get through it, though, without that. The plane was just a hole of mirrors that linked to other mirrors on different planes and needed a special item or a custom spell to get into.
Oh, that sounds very awesome.
I like that.
I'm going to steal that idea. Thank you, Top Down Tabletop.
Yeah, it's like a bit. It's a bit like those hallways where every door leads to a different thing.
Hmm.
It was super fun, says Fix. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
It sounds a bit like the hallway scene in the Matrix, where the keymaker
yeah, kind of like that.
has them moving between all kinds of dimensions and
Yeah, and
awesome.
you have kind of like Narnia with the well worlds, and you have the magician show, which has kind of those
Hmm.
connectivity worlds, and I really like those things as a concept. Not knowing who built them or who invented
Hmm.
them, but they all lead to somewhere. The hallways in the Feist books. Yes, that's what it reminded me of. Oh, now
Okay.
Dead Pirate Shanks is here. Yeah, it was a lot of it was a lot like that. Yeah, cool.
Awesome.
Um, yeah, I included this one because we are, of course, not limited to the planes that exist in the Dungeons and Dragons setting. So this one was listed under other in my
Hmm.
previous statistics, but yeah. And it wasn't the only thing that I saw about a plane of mirrors, by the way. There were two answers which included the plane of mirrors.
Oh
But
wow.
I think they were totally different planes. So, an endless hallway with doors to different worlds and planes. But, says Michelle. And Shank says, but I was totally not having it and may have started trashing the mirrors. Lol. Yeah. And Vic says, to be fair, most of them were already broken. Yeah, and I like that kind of decay, and
Yeah,
you could possibly restore it, and then what would happen, Because it's also, if it's a bridge for the good guys, it's a bridge for the bad guys, right?
that's also true. Yeah, I
Mm.
would have smashed those mirrors like a true murder hobo.
Yeah, you would.
Yep,
As who?
as Wolfguard.
As Wolfguard, yeah.
Yeah, as Wolfguard. I would
I
have
can.
tried to force my way through every mirror I see, because a mirror is just a door
Mirrors.
made out of glass.
Yeah, this. Are you practicing on your bathroom mirror then?
I'm always practicing on my bathroom mirror, but no, not trying to put my head through it or anything.
Oh, okay. Oh, wondering what that looks like.
Oh, I'm always singing, but we were prohibited to sing on these shows.
No, that's not true. It's not
Yeah,
true.
yeah, yeah.
You can sing if you want. I love the
But
singing.
we won't do that right now because
Yeah. So,
with you.
and it's kind of, well, the other thing, it's kind of a transition plane, right? This mirror plane.
Yeah, the
Uh,
mirror plane sounds like a transition plane, and it sounds very awesome. Did it also include its own flora and fauna, so creatures, monsters on the mirror plane, or was it just the mirrors uh, as the sole existence in the plane? I think Chet can elaborate on that later.
yeah, maybe
I'm
there
curious,
will be a
what
guest
kind of creatures would you encounter on a mirror plane?
that as well. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, talking about transition planes, right?
Yeah, let's transition to the next question or the next answer.
I think we're going to transition to transition planes, actually. Jeffrey says, I ran an epic adventure in the astral plane back in 3.5. I really enjoyed how all spells were quickened. To your point, I remember a party member tied up a dragon with some spell. The dragon fell some 150 feet or something in the direction that it decided was down. Next round, it was right back where it started. Then it decided down was forward and moved 150 feet that way so that it could touch down on a piece of rock floating in the astral plane. It was a pretty amusing combat. Yeah, and that's so cool. And I like so the astral plane. Talking
Mhm,
about planes of transitional planes, you really have the two big ones, which are the astral plane and the ethereal plane.
mhm, mhm.
Then you have these concepts like a mirror plane, and you kind of have Sigil. But let's talk about Sigil in a later stage of this episode.
Mhm, mhm.
And these are planes that at every point of their existence do they connect to the prime material plane.
Oh wow! Yeah,
And at the
okay.
same time they touch the astral planes plane touches the first layer of every outer plane on every point, and the ethereal touches every inner plane. at every point. But they do not touch each other, so to say. So from the prime material, you can travel through the ethereal or through the astral, but you cannot travel from the astral straight into the ethereal plane.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. But they did change this up somewhat with the elemental chaos that they introduced in later settings, because it was a bit more lawful, so to say.
Because elemental chaos, they introduced that in fourth edition, right?
Yeah, I think so. But it was already kind of a mess in third edition. They started adding certain rules that I did not understand why they had to do that, because there was already a cosmology, so to say. Ashley says, every now and again, smash a teacup and wait. It does not reassemble. Time is still linear. Shrug and continue. Yeah, okay. So these are the two transitional planes, and I think that every plane has gone through some changes through the editions. I think that second edition with the Planescape campaign setting, that's just it for me, because they really made it a philosophical meta environment that fit well together and was logical. They kind of stopped doing that after that edition, although they are still doing it in some way, but they aren't giving you all the lore anymore. They're just telling you that this is how it is. So there were a lot of more rules for the astral sea or the astral plane in second edition than there are in fifth edition, and this is why you get a different feeling now from those settings. Doesn't matter but if you see, for example, Critical Role, they introduce the astral sea, so to say, and there's kind of I don't think they can even fall there, where in this example this dragon falls because he decided a certain direction has become down. So those are there's more than one interpretation of how to travel this. So the astral plane is all silver, and you can see as far as well, you can see pretty far, and a couple of things you see is pieces of rock, kind of tunnels that are made out of the silvery material, color pools which lead you to certain other planes, and bodies of gods and trash, actually, because when a god dies, its body starts drifting in the astral sea.
The astral sea, yeah. I actually have a fourth edition astral plane book somewhere over there, and I still have to read through it, but it has a lot of awesome concepts that I will be using in the future. But I think for 5th edition, they are at the moment not using the planes at all that much. Only the planes of hell. And
they use Avernus.
That's
planes. About it, right?
Yeah. And I believe there's a Feywild campaign coming up.
Yeah, but I don't think it's by wizards themselves, right?
No, there's a wizards. It was announced yesterday that there is a Feywild campaign coming up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I saw a third-party book that just got released, which was about the Feywild as well. So
yeah, I saw that also. But Wizards of the Coast is dabbling into the Feywild. But I really, it's really a pity that 5th edition still hasn't really dived into the planes. They still cling very much to the regular setting of the Sword Coast, and or they do completely different settings like Eberron or well, what are the Ravnica and
yeah. That's a bit strange, because you have these pages in the Dungeon Master Guide which tells you something about that, but then you never get an idea of how to use it.
No. And then for me, as a pure 5th edition Dungeon Master, I do have a couple of 4th edition books, but I play only in 5th edition. It's really difficult to plan adventures in other planes that I don't have information about,
Yeah.
or
Misha
just
says,
one byline in the Dungeon Master's Guide.
yeah. Misha says it's more worlds and less planes. Yeah. As he says, yep. Wizards of the Coast official Feywild still struggling with the license for Dragonlance, so needed content.
Mhm.
Well, that is a point that you're making there, Ashley, because maybe it's luck that had them struggling with the Dragonlance setting, because when they would be diving into the Feywild, then at least they would be touching on lore that's just within reach but never explained, which is a good thing, I think. While Dragonlance, of course, Dragonlance is omega cool, but it's another world, so to say, and it has iconic characters, of course, but you know.
And is Dragonlance that different from the Forgotten Realms?
I think it's not different enough. Let's put
No.
it that way. Yeah.
I think they really do. If they do something very different, like Eberron, it's a completely different world with different, the world is completely different from the Forgotten Realms, and the same with Ravnica and Theros. These are completely different worlds and different time settings.
Yeah.
The mechanics of the world work differently, and that's awesome. But if you do an Eberron setting, the Dragonlance setting, I think it will be just like a copy of the Forgotten Realms setting. I know it's not a copy, but
It's in the similar thing. Yeah.
yeah,
And then I would think, why don't you do Dark Sun? You know, because
Dark Sun would be awesome.
yeah.
Dark Sun would be very awesome.
Yeah, and I finally get psionics right again, because I really dislike psionics in 5th. I've made my own psionic cast just because I couldn't stand the other ones. So yeah, and I'm going to playtest one. Oh, I shouldn't say that for those who are watching, but yeah. I hate that they are doing Strixhaven. What is Strixhaven?
Yeah, Strixhaven is another. I believe it's another Magic the Gathering setting that they are. It's the last book that they will release this year. So first, they will release the Feywild setting. It's a carnival adventure, I think, and then they will release Strixhaven, which is another Magic the Gathering setting. It will be the third Magic the Gathering setting that they will be porting in 5th edition, and I think it's from a marketing point of view that they do this, because then you will get the interest of the Magic the Gathering players.
Yeah. So
These
are we being too negative here? I'm trying
no. It's not negative. It's just the way the company works, and they try to make a living, and they try to keep the hobby alive, and this is how they attract most players. So it's not wrong. It's just it's not wrong what they are doing. Absolutely not. D&D is more popular now than it has ever been. I mean, there are more D&D players now than that there have ever been or will be, or maybe it will grow even larger, and that's mostly due to the direction that 5th edition has taken us. And but well, for players like us, it may be a pity that we don't get more information on lore that we would like, but still you can pick up old books or buy old books from 3rd edition or 4th edition if you really want the lore, and some are more difficult to get than others, but still it's worth going to eBay or Marktplaats in the Netherlands and look for these settings.
Yeah. So Michel's saying, but the Gathering magic system is so different from the D&D magic system. 5 mana schools in Strixhaven. I would have loved the D&D magic school with the 8 schools. Yeah, okay, that's an interesting thing that you're saying there, Michel. But I think that's actually a thing that they did well in 5th edition, because a wizard has 8 schools, but the spells are connected to every school, and I really got into this design philosophy when I did the psionic, because my psionic has the same spells as the wizards and the clerics have. They draw from the same pool, but they are distributed through, for example, the seer, the egoist, and that kind of schools, which are actually 5 schools, which have the same kind of pool to draw from. So if you do it well, you can distribute them any way you like. Just as the cleric has its domains, and a ranger has a specific set of spells. So I actually think that is a thing that they are doing well in 5th edition.
Yeah.
Although I was also inspired by the one shot that Critical Role has done on the now I can't come up with the name. The Elder Scrolls thing, where it was kind of a 5th edition combination with some Elder Scrolls things where you had stamina and magicka, and they reskinned some spells, but they also added some different kinds of spells. And then I thought, well, you can do this as well, and maybe they will be doing that for Strixhaven or whatever it was, but I don't know, of course. But you can reimagine a lot of these things into other kinds of systems. There are also excellent YouTube lore channels to explore. I think we're talking about Magic the Gathering again. Yeah.
And as a DM, the only limit is yourself. You can invent new planes, add new planes to your setting, add existing planes from other settings to your own setting. You're not geremd. Restricted, yeah. So you're not restricted by the setting that you play in, because, like I said, I will be using Eberron in my setting. I actually they met one of the Warforged from Eberron, or just his head, and they powered it up and just started talking gibberish about a world with that was more advanced than their world, and he was just trash talking them. That opened the possibility to travel to Eberron, and it might not be possible in the lore that as written, but in my world it is.
That was why I was intrigued by how you put it. Okay, let's go to the next one, because this was all about the astral plane with Jeffrey's answer as an example. Ryan says, I like the ethereal plane because I love putting weird stuff in it. Anytime someone uses blink or sees into the ethereal for any other reason, I make sure that they always see something freaky. Yeah, and this is why I love the ethereal as well. Because, the ethereal plane is the thing that connects the prime material plane to the elemental planes, but it also has this eerie ghost-like setting, because ghosts stay there, because they do not go on. You would expect them to because the heavens are more for the mind, while the the inner planes are more for the body, so to say. But then the ethereal is filled with these eerie creatures like vault eaters and like these really things that age you and things that decay you and all these kinds of creatures. And then it's really scary as well, because when you step, at least in the 2nd edition, that's how I still handle it. When you step into the ethereal plane, you're just behind kind of a veil, and you can still see the normal world and kind of interact with that. But then when you look behind you, you can see into this great green expanse, and really get lost in it when you move too far away from your connection to the prime material plane. So it's a place to get lost quite easily and get overtaken by scary creatures. So that's why I love these answers from Ryan as well, because that's how I use it as well, as a really scary plane where you can stumble accidentally on these windows that give you a look into somebody else's life or another world or something, but at the same time, if you're not careful, you just float away and disappear forever.
As a former Warhammer player, I always draw inspiration from the Warhammer lore, and I really love the Warhammer worlds and the Warhammer 40k universe that they built. And this kind of sounds to me like warp travel in Warhammer 40k, where they actually enter another dimension filled with demons and dark creatures that want nothing more than to rip you apart and so that you can become lost forever.
Yeah.
But they use it as a means of travel between the stars, and that's. I really want to enter that idea in my campaign. So as soon as one of my players starts using Misty Step or anything like that, I will be using an idea like that, or an idea like the ethereal plane with weird stuff and creatures looming just beyond the eyesight and try to snatch you as you move through.
Yeah, that's cool. Ashley also says the warp lore is amazing. I borrowed two series of books from you that got me hooked on 40k. Well, I've never played the game.
Mm-hmm.
I still have to return one to you, by the way. Series.
Oh, there's where my book went. Yeah.
I have
Now
to
I
buy
remember.
A new one because my daughter wrote in the book. So
okay, the Ravener book, right?
Yeah. And my apologies, but I really like the warp, and I also like the fact that when you use this demon magic and you have to pronounce these words, that your mouth starts bleeding and stuff. That's what I really like about that darkness that's in there, and and it's really warped. So to say. And I didn't know about 40k till a couple of years ago. But I think the ethereal approaches that kind of sense, but it's more not the demonic side of the story, but more the ghost-like side of the story. But it's warped anyway. Yeah. There's also this thing called the deep ethereal, which I never know if this is kind of lore or it's imagined through connectivity between dungeon masters, but that's the idea that when you get really deep into the ethereal, you get into the deep ethereal, and that connects to a whole lot of other different places that have never been mentioned.
Well, chat is going wild.
Ashley says, okay, so Misha says second edition campaign, not second edition plane. Yeah, we used it there very much. Yeah, we used it to pass doors, for example, because we couldn't open them. And it's always gave a great sense of power, so to say.
Ashley says the warp lore is amazing, like a super dangerous rainbow bridge with demons. Yeah. That's exactly how you could describe.
Esner says admitting things on camera is the 2020-2021 approach to let's meet in public. Shank says, I really like all the ideas I'm hearing. I might use some of it. Well, hopefully you do, Shanks.
Yeah. Hopefully you do. I can talk hours about Warhammer and Warhammer 40k lore, but then the show won't end until 3 o'clock in the morning. So let's keep it at D&D lore for now.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the next slide. Michael says, Feywild, I love the idea of a realm similar to the Prime, but suffers with magic, and that being the homeland of the Fey. And Zach says, Shadowfell, for the sole reason it's a copy of the MP, a material plane, past, present, and future in darkness. Yeah, so this is, I put these two together, I think you can guess why.
Because there are two sides of a coin. The coin in the middle, and the middle is the material plane.
Yeah, and that's so they are connected to the material plane, and they resemble it. So you can kind of travel through both those planes and see similar sides, though some of them might be darker or anything.
Sorry, Michelle says, oh my god, a 72-hour presentation between Jasper and Erik.
Fix has to laugh. Yeah, I'm okay with that, as you can see from slides. They will have all the slides, 100 to 150. Yeah. So I recently did an excursion into the Shadowfell, and I drew a map of the area, and I actually drew 3 different maps of the area: one Shadowfell, one Feywild, and one the normal one. And I exaggerated what I would think were the strange things. And then you have all these monsters in the Shadowfell. So the Shadowfell is kind of bleak and empty and hungry and without love, and sad and stuff. And
Yeah.
I really like those the creatures like the lonely and with the harpoon arms that draw you in and start to try to, and while they are killing you, say, please stay with me, and that kind of stuff. You have all these kind of dark creatures that roam around there. But I didn't think that was enough, so I put on top of a kind of a cliff as a kind of backdrop image. I put this giant kind of female body that was like miles high, which didn't have a head and had a tail, and it was just sitting there on this rock. And because she didn't have a head, there was constantly blood
Gushing out of the
gushing
wound,
out
right?
of the wound and splattering the lands behind them. And it was a kind of backdrop, but when the party really did something that had impact on the Shadowfell, that body would suddenly halt and the neck would stare in their direction. You know, like use these kinds of things just to make it so otherworldly that it's kind of creepy. And it's
Sometimes
the perfect place to put a vampire, a dark carnival, blood kind of monsters, you know, and all these. Yeah, I love it.
Sometimes your twisted minds really worries me, but
Yeah. Well, you have to be a bit twisted as a dungeon master, right?
yeah, you do.
Yeah. But they thought it was pretty scary, so that's cool.
And that's the best thing is if your players find it scary. So
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I could talk for hours. But what do you think of the Shadowfell and the Feywild?
well, the Shadowfell. I haven't had much experience in the Shadowfell, but the demi-plane. I have been playing Ravenloft, so the Curse of Strahd setting for the second time now, and I really love the horror setting and the bleak outcome setting, and all hope is lost, and still there are these heroes that are trying to save the world against all the odds. I really love that kind of feeling, like bringing light to darkness with your party. Though, what I do think is that if you stay too long in that setting, everybody gets depressed. My
That's
whole
a bad
party.
thing, then.
Yeah, when you describe the realm around you, you describe it as bleak and sorrow, and everything is just, drained of color, and the people you encounter have lost all joy in life. And if you do that for 2 or 3 evenings, well, that really brings the setting to life. If you do that for 20 sessions, it gets a bit depressing after a while. For me as a dungeon master, especially. And the Feywild, I haven't had the chance to go to the Feywild yet because my players always get to the dark places of the world. So, but I do want to play in the Feywild. I do want to play in that shadowy forest, twilight forest realm, where they meet all these awesome creatures and all these twisted fae that are neither good
like we
nor
did in
evil.
the Precipice, right? Although
like we did in the Precipice.
Strong relation to it.
Yeah, as a player, I really loved that setting. I really loved that I went there for the first time and experienced a kind of Feywild setting for the first time. Yeah, so thank you, Roger, for that.
Yeah, where other things are scary than the normal evil things, you know?
Yeah.
That as well. Things are changing, things are primal, things are... Yeah. Ashley says, yep, everything is creepier than everyone when everyone is happy. And twin 6-year-old girls are singing a slow nursery rhyme. Yeah. Lesson says Jasper's Slides of Existence. Oh man, they're really making a thing out of it.
Yeah, I do. I always have to watch out with making things too scary in my party because one of the party members is my wife, and she won't sleep for 5 evenings in a row if I do things that are too scary, like oh, there's a baby and on the ceiling, and it's looking back right at you, and
Yeah.
if I or there's a hand coming from out of the wall and it's just out of reach. If I do these kinds of things, then my wife won't sleep at all,
Yeah.
and as a
Yeah.
direct consequence, I won't sleep at all.
I recently had a session where I did something dark
Mm.
with devil possession in an asylum, and those. Well, I described it really well, and I had this group of like men in their early 30s, late 20s, sitting there,
Mm.
and they were just staring at me afterwards and thinking, "What did he just tell us?" Because that's not normal.
Are you okay, Jasper? Do you want to see a therapist?
Yeah, like that. Yeah. Yeah, funny. Um, but yeah, you
But,
can really do horror if you are doing it right. You know.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I know from experience it's one of your favorite subjects to put in your adventures. So
Yeah, yeah. I've always been inspired by the Tommyknockers from Stephen King, who had this rhyme at the start of the book that went this night and the night before. Tommyknockers knocking on your door. I want to run away, don't know if I can because I'm so afraid of the Tommyknocker man. And those kind of rhymes make me
Mhm.
they make me feel so scared myself, you know. And I really want to reproduce that kind of dread in my players.
Yeah, Ashley says, and now I need to watch Bambi.
Well, the father dies.
Mhm.
Yeah. And his guts spill out all over the forest, and Bambi slits. Well, anyway, okay, slips, not slits, but slips in the blood and the intestines and everything. You know, it 4 legs going like this. Anyway, thanks for joining us on Talking Void, where we discuss horror. Shall we go to the next slide, Eric?
Yeah, let's go to the next slide before our audience can't sleep anymore.
We have only a couple of slides to go. So, Riley
Action, dears.
says, "The clockwork nirvana of Mechanus. I find the idea of a plane of perfect order to be really interesting and possibly terrifying. Just wish more 5th edition stuff existed on the plane, especially modrons that can actually threaten a higher level party."
Yeah, when I first read of the Modrons and Mechanus, I thought, oh, this is so silly. This is so stupid. I won't be reading up on this anymore. And then I heard YouTuber, which I follow, talk about the planes, and he explains all the planes in different videos. And then he started talking about Mechanus, and it really got my interest, and then I started reading up on them, and Jasper just went away.
No, I'm still
Okay, I'm doing my solo show. Welcome to Talking Void with Erik. My guest,
Ooh.
the Great Modron March.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
wow.
an adventure in a 2nd edition Planescape. Just wanted to show that.
Mhm. Yeah, and it really got me interested, and afterwards, I find the Modrons actually quite scary. Their mechanical way of thinking. It's almost like the Matrix. It's very mechanical, very calculating, and very yeah, optimized way of thinking. Just how can everything stay in order, and yeah, there's no emotion coming from that from those Modrons and the realm of Mechanus, and it's actually a very quite scary realm if you think about it like that.
Yeah, and I think it's not unlike Daleks. Well, not like Daleks in because they want to exterminate. Well,
Mhm.
the Modrons just want to have.
Order.
Well, yeah, and they don't impose it by just going everywhere and say you have to have order here as well. They don't do it like that. They're more like those people coming to your door and selling you faith, so to say, and constantly getting battered for it. And that's because you have a thing called the Great Modron March, which happens every day. So about Mechanus. Let's talk about that first. So Mechanus is the plane of
boys and girls.
And you have all these clockwork kind of creatures that walk around there, and you've kind of got 15 ranks. You've got the 10 lower ranks with the Modron or the Monodron, I don't actually know anymore, being the simplest one. And then you have one on top of that and one on top of that and so on. Strat 77 Mechanus. Anyway.
It's so true.
And then when you come to the 10th, and for every... well, you have a whole structure. But then you have the first 10, those are kind of the soldiers, and then you have the 5 above those, which are the thinkers of the modern society. And the one on top is Primus, which is, again, one kind of creature. So the lowest one is a one, has a one in its name, and then the highest one as well. And he sends his Modrons out through all the planes. They walk through all the gate towns on the outlands and walk into every plane to share their belief in order, so to say. And this of course happens at irregular intervals, so you always know when the next Great Modron March will be. And this adventure is about one that starts early, so to say. So that's already something to keep thinking about. And the way Planescape adventures are structured is so cool, because you really meet them on a certain plane, and then you go and do another adventure, and then you get to another plane, and then they are there at that point. So you know, and you don't know what's happening in between. The only thing that you are seeing is that while they are crossing the planes, they get demolished, and there are less and less of them as they near Mechanus again. And that's the whole fun thing about the Great Modron March and what they try to achieve. I won't spoil the plot of the adventure, but it's great. It's such a great idea of how these mechanical creatures want to spread order and do it in the most inefficient way, because they get bashed by demons, devils, even celestials and stuff, because they just do not agree with their beliefs.
I actually have a new favorite plane of existence. It's a plane of existence I will be putting my players through. It's one of the plane. It's a different kind of hell from the hells that you already know. It's a plane of existence where Jasper just talks D&D lore for eternity, and
I think that's the best.
Man, you know so much information about this game.
Yeah, well, you know. Accidentally. Strat 281, roll initiative. I saw this comic today where it said you see this little guy uploading his videos to YouTube because he started filming his online adventure. Did you see that one?
No. But
and then his sister says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I'm uploading my real life campaign." And then she looks at the title. So preparation session 1, preparation session 2, preparation session 3. It's preparation until session 6. Yeah, they spent like 12 hours doing preparation, but session 7 is only 15 seconds long. Well, yeah, they should have done more preparation. Okay. Please take out the number 2 pencil ready for test 16B. Yeah. Oh, that's also so cool. So the town leading up to or is it Arcadia? No, I think it's Mechanus. You have this. Okay, so you have the Outlands, which is the central plane, the central outer plane, which is true neutral. So and true neutral really means that if someone helps you, after that he kind of doesn't help you anymore. And there are these 16 gate towns, and each gate town is associated with an outer plane. So when you get there, you can get through a gate to that outer plane. But to get to mechanics, you really have to get through the bureaucratic stuff, like in Asterix and Obelix, for example, and the heroes where you have to fill in form that and get form there and stuff. So that's pretty funny. That's all I had to say about that. Well, I can go on, but let's leave it at that. The explanation. Thanks for today's topic, says Erik to Ashley. Yeah, thank you so much. So mechanics is great. But maybe I've missed it, but you now actually like Modrons.
Yeah, I do actually like Modrons right now. So that was the start of the story 10 minutes ago. Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
15 slides. If you go 15 slides back, we...
Is this getting too funny? I don't know. Jonathan says, Arborea is my favorite plane. I love elves and Olympus, the first layer, and giant oceans, which is the entire second layer, and fast-sprawling forests and deserts. The third layer is the vast desert, filled with ruins and artifacts. It's basically Dungeons and Dragons, the plane. I like that one. And then I included the second one, and then I discovered that it was the same person. So he actually likes Isgard the best as well, with its Norse gods, Bast, Sarun, the World Tree, the Great... Sarun, that's the name of the pantheon of... No, anyway, the World Tree, the great forges, floating islands in the sky, islands in lava, and an underdark area. I love it. Since all the petitioners are reborn the next day, and it's where the heroes have their afterlife, I treat it as an MMO. Yeah. So it's the place where Valhalla is. So everybody's every morning starts fighting each other, and then in the evening they get resurrected and they start drinking again.
Awesome.
So it
sounds like such an awesome setting.
Yeah. So you have Arborea, which is slightly less chaotic. Slightly less chaotic and a bit more good than Isgard. Because Isgard transitions into Limbo, which is the outer plane of chaos, of course. So you really see this Greek and Norse mythology next to each other, and it's really fun to read from that perspective about these pantheons. Yeah,
awesome. Yeah, I will be delving more into the pantheon lore because I do love the whole Norse mythology and the Greek mythology. So I will be reading up on it soon. You can test me later.
I have a book called On Hallowed Ground, which is a second edition book, which isn't Planescape, funny enough, but it has all the pantheons from the Dungeons and Dragons settings in D&D second edition in there, and also the classical, like the Greek and the Norse pantheons with all their domains and stuff. Maybe you can borrow that from me.
Okay, so, maybe I'll borrow it in the future.
Yeah.
Awesome.
They put out a lot of similar kind of products, but I like the Planescape one more because then it connects with all those factions. We haven't even discussed the factions yet. Too much to talk about.
What's going on in chats?
I won't make it next game, Ash. It will be. I will be locked in this presentation. I believe you, says Ash. Esther says, how many more slides before you are at the Precipice of Dreams? Ashley Gibson, only 300, but there's a convenient birthday break between slides 100 and 91 where we can get cake from yesterday. Okay, so the main question I'm going to ask now is, are you having fun?
Yeah, I'm having fun, but all jokes aside, you can really, you really notice that you are very passionate about this subject, so I really love having this conversation. I really love listening to your monologue.
Yeah, I was a bit scared that would happen.
No, but do continue because it is very interesting, and I do love to hear all about the planes.
So I want to go a bit more into Paleon, and why that is my favorite layer of all the planes, so to say. That's because there was this module where you had this word of, what was it? Word of death or something lying there. and it was this really powerful word that was once uttered by a god or a being even before the gods, and it was just lying there on Pelion. It had a guardian and everything. And I really took interest in that idea of this forgotten lore on this plane of dust, that if you accidentally stumble upon it or know where to get these things, you meet, you can find that such powerful things. And then in my campaign, you have this big kind of god that cannot be killed, but can be banished in 3 ways through his active life. And after a certain time, he will come out of banishment, and you have to banish him again. You can only do it 3 times, so the last time you better make sure he's banished forever or something. And then they had to find the word of banishment on that plane, and a whole lot of my adventures revolve around this word of banishment, and that's why, my part there's the veil has thinned somewhat between my world and Pelion, and that is why it's quite easy to get there from my world. So I use this word of banishment a lot, and then this word has been used to capture that god there. So he is banished to that place and hold in place through magical means. And then, but there are all these factions who want him free and stuff. And that's what a whole lot my adventure revolves around.
Is that the big creature that we encountered when we did the Cell and Wolfguard awesome adventures through Planes of Existence?
No, because that's in my Urter campaign, which has no connection to the multiverse.
Damn it.
Yeah. So, but the other party has accidentally set that guy free in 1 dimension, and then didn't do it in the other dimension, but they needed him in the other dimension, so it's got all kinds of complicated. And I keep adding stuff to that plane, like a main character from a previous campaign has taken up residence there, and he's in this kind of oasis below the ground, but then there's this stairs upwards, which a titan's head is opposed to this entrance, and everything that comes out of there, then his eyes shoots kind of a laser beam and destroys everything. So he's kind of a guardian to never let anything escape from that place, and all these kind of mythical things, because you only the head surfaces from the dust and everything, you know. So it's all these epic kind of settings that I place there. Esna says, seriously, I'm really enjoying this. I now realize I like the planes in a way similar to why I like good science fiction or fantasy. Set a world with different rules and see how things play out in interesting ways. Ashley says, just like my other fantasy obsessions, it is the lore that makes it so compelling, hence I buy all the old RPG books I can. So much lore when they were printing large books for nerds, not streamlined books for profit. Yeah, so the Planescape books are the best books when it comes to nerds. There is no better book than a Planescape book.
Yeah, I'm still looking for your for your what was it, the Blood War
box.
Yeah.
If any one of you can buy the Blood War box for a reasonable price and send it to me, I will pay you back. But just be sure that I don't already have it when you send it to me, because I'm only going to buy one. But that's the box that I really still want. The 2nd edition Planescape Blood War box. And it's called Bound the Blood War or something. I can't come up with the name for all of the sudden. Yeah, but I really, every year, I kind of 2 or 3 times I dream about finding this box in a shop. So
I actually thought I found your box on one of the events, and then it was the wrong box. So
yeah, and Michelle said, "Hey, your box was on Facebook, but it already got sold." And then I said, "Dang." Yeah.
I know the feeling of looking for that one particular item that you want for years and years on end. I have a Batman figurine standing proudly in my living room that I was searching for 7 years, and finally I got my copy of it.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So we all know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
So, but that's Pelion for me. Yeah.
Yeah, Pelion. Yeah, I have nothing to add for Pelion.
Okay.
It sounds like a very awesome setting, and I want to hear more about it. But we will do that on a lazy Sunday afternoon sometime.
Blame it on a sunny afternoon in the summertime. Anyway,
Yeah.
let's go to the last slide. And we
Last
can
slide.
only, yeah, or the last slide
Last slide.
concerning the main topic, yeah.
Whoa, eternity suddenly got a whole lot shorter.
Yeah. So what else should we discuss but Sigil, right?
Yeah, because Sigil is the plane of the gods,
No,
right? Or no, it's the connecting plane between hell and
no, no,
heaven.
no.
It
Not
is the
really a plane
connecting.
of existence, but I do love Sigil, says Lucas. And Lewis says, Sigil and the Outruns, I want to run a high-level campaign in the City of Doors. So, Sigil is the City of Doors. It's not a plane. It's a city. It's you have the Outruns, and in the middle of the Outruns, there's an infinite spire that, and on top of that infinite spire, there's a donut-shaped city, and on the inside of the donut shape, donut-shaped form, and on the inside of the donut-shaped form is Sigil, the City of Doors, and it is kind of the neutral ground of the multiverse.
Sorry, Ashley
Erik,
says,
this looks
Eric,
bad
this
for the
looks very
test.
bad for
Yeah,
the
I
test.
think so
Yeah, it
too.
does.
Didn't you see us play Planescape Torment, Eric?
Yeah. I had it on the background, but
Okay.
and I saw the ending. I actually experienced the ending of
Okay.
the sudden ending of your
The
campaign,
sudden
which was
ending.
hilarious. Yeah.
Yeah. So Sigil is the City of Doors, and it's called the City of Doors because everything in Sigil can be kind of a gateway. If you whistle and you walk under a brush, you can accidentally walk into another plane of existence, so to say.
Mhm.
And there are a lot of doors also leading to the prime material plane. And you need a key and you need a space to walk through, and then and the key can be anything, like literally a key, a whistle, a certain kind of step that you make, or whatever, or going in the pairs, or whatever. Everything can be a door, and that's so great about Sigil. Then, because it's such a special city, every god wants to have it. Because
Oh wait! Was it the plane where gods couldn't enter the plane,
yes,
but only Vecna accomplished this because he became a god after he entered the plane?
it could be that that Vecna has been there, but then even then, so the ruler kind of
Mhm.
the City of Doors is the Lady of Pain, and
Mhm.
she's on every book of Planescape book. There she is,
Mhm.
and she's kind of not a power because gods are called powers in Planescape, and she keeps all the gods out, and so all the gods try to seduce her, so to say. So they send their emissaries to give her gifts or use
Mhm.
powerful magics to sway her to allow the city gates to open to them. But she never gives in. But you have this really beautiful book called Pages of Pain, which goes into to this psychology of her mind. And when she doesn't like you, she mazes you, and then you are in the maze for eternity, so to say. That's her power, keeping gods out and mazing people who she doesn't like, or have become too big of a threat to Sigil. So, and that's why it's kind of balanced, and you can find every species, every kind of demon, angel there, and it makes for a great hub, and also makes for the perfect place where you can be a first level character and speak with demons.
Yeah, and I believe it's also the plane where demons and angels can come freely, and there's a truce between them, and also where, well, half angels, half demons, what were they called again? Incubi, succubi, are born.
mean tieflings and such. Well,
No. I think incubi and succubi are also the produce between angels and demons, right?
no, I think they kind of stem from both demons and devils, but not necessarily from angels.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have a lot of cool non-playing characters in this city. There are a lot of adventures that play out there. Second edition adventures, of course, no 5th edition adventures, and it's the most amazing place there is. It's so different. I did one campaign there with Roger. I was the dungeon master. He was my only player, and we really kind of explored the dynamic. Yeah.
Oh, wow, so it was a one-on-one campaign, or was it a part of one of your campaigns?
That was a one-on-one, but it kind of tied into other things. And Esner once was an adventure that was leading up to that point as well, but then life happened, as it did with Roger, by the way, as well, because we simply couldn't continue. But Roger and I would often go to the park at night and just sit there and take a beer and just do one-on-one Dungeons and Dragons sessions. So it was always pretty cool. Yeah. Okay, what's happening?
Yeah, chat is just going on and on. So, and that's awesome because we have a very active chat, but we can't react to everything.
As you says, I was going to copy of you, Erik. Answer to question 5. I didn't know, so I drew a picture of a goat. Erik says, Tyler has fleshy tentacles. Okay. Michelle has to laugh.
Which is a nudge wink to your campaign.
Yeah. As she says, draw a goat. He can't feel all of us. And that's what we call a barrier, right? Which is the goat-like people from the Outlands.
Which he will elaborate on now.
Well, they are
no.
species in the Planescape, which instead of a centaur, they have a goat-like body and goat-like horns. So it's really a thing. So that's cool. But City of Doors, Sigil, it's the most amazing place, and it's where all the factions have their ruling buildings, and factions are these 16 organizations that have nothing to do with the planes, but all to do with philosophical views on existence.
Oh, okay, so they have all have embassies on that plane.
Yeah, on Sigil. It's not really a plane; it's just a city of Doors. Yeah. And we hit slide 500, guys. We did it. Yeah. Let's leave it at that. I could do a whole talking void about.
Well, do a talking void about Sigil, the City of Doors, sometime.
It's
not tonight,
Sigil.
but
You write it as Sigil, but you don't pronounce
Sigil.
it.
Yeah.
I played a Planescape Torment, and there was one moment where you enter a place where you get all the info on all the planes. And it was a bar, like one person standing in the bar. You think, oh, let's go talk to this person, and yeah. Yeah, so that's all the answers I incorporated into the show. Gave kind of an overview of the planes. You said something about inner planes, and we talked about some specific planes. What do you think? Did you think of it, Erik?
Oh, it was very informative. No, I learned a lot, and I love discussing with you all the topics on the show.
Okay.
Though, and that's what I said at the beginning of the show. My lore on all the planes isn't up to par, and that's a good thing for the audience. So wait, Jasper, are you still there?
Yeah,
back.
It does that now on Discord. It after a certain amount of time,
Jasper.
it thinks, he's probably isn't doing anything anymore.
Yeah. But that's also a good thing for our viewers because you now had a chance to explain everything in full detail and yeah,
Yeah,
well,
let's do a session about Arborea, right?
well, you can do a session zooming in on one topic or on one plane in the future. I would be very, very excited to watch that episode.
Well, that brings me to the last slide then. You have a choice, and it isn't an A, B, or C. It is your choice, not multiple, not at all. This is my new way of asking you what will be the next topic.
I do like the fact that you put a smiley face at the end of the sentence, but it's not A, B, or C, and then not at all double, and then double a point D.
I didn't realize that. Yeah. So, do you have any ideas for next Talking Voids topic, people in the chat?
Yeah, what will be the... Ashley has the best
Ashley
topic
says
ideas.
I'm sitting on my hand. Well, then you have your keyboard on under your ass as well, because otherwise you couldn't have typed that.
Okay, but maybe I have an idea. I'm just spitballing here. How did you experience last year during the COVID lockdown? Did you get to play, and how did you get to play in real life or digital? And how did you experience digital play, or how did you experience digital play during COVID or during the COVID lockdown?
Yeah, I think we have to brush up on that idea a bit, but I understand what you're saying. I think we should leave the COVID word out, but
maybe have
what was your finest moment of Dungeons and Dragons in the last year or something?
Yeah, in the last year.
Yeah,
because I do think that due to this whole lockdown, I get to play more D&D and got to play more adventures, got to start this wonderful thing with you guys, and I really picked up my own campaign again. It was really, I hate the circumstances, but I really love that I got to play more D&D and got to experience more of this game.
Yeah.
So that was one of the positive things that got me through this whole epidemic. So I would really love to hear how you experienced your awesome adventures during last year.
Yeah. Well, we have some spitballing in chat, and we have one other serious thing, denk ik. Thinking of the lady, what was the most amazing punishment your character endured? That's the other one, but then Esner also says, I'm with Erik. So, and Ashley also says, I'm with Erik. So, we got our next topic for Talking Void from Erik this time.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Who would have thought?
I actually had a good idea.
Who would have thought?
Well, that's a better idea than, oh, try to hit me with an arrow. Is that the best you got?
Yeah. How many shots did it take you to roll natural 20 against Thomas?
Yeah, that would be. Yeah. And then with special guest Roger.
Special guest. Yeah. So let me see. I always forget about this. I think next time it will be Jin again.
I think so. Jin is my runner-up on all things concerning this channel, right?
Yeah. So I will be discussing that with Jin. Which is
awesome.
Which I think
is awesome. Cool. Oh wow, Jin is the excellent guest for this question.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I do think so.
Okay, well then we'll be having fun next time again. Well, he had to have some input. He had to have some input in this show, says Michelle, about your next topic. And actually says Erik did lots this episode. He kept moving through the slides. Me too, Erik, says Araneres. So he agrees with you.
Okay, wow. People actually agree with me. I'm not used to this.
Who?
People actually agreed with me with my suggestion. It's weird.
You know, this feeling.
Am I on a different plane of existence?
This feeling you're experiencing finally at this moment is happiness.
Happiness. Yeah. Finally, happiness. Yeah, well, I really need some happiness after the last episode.
Yeah. These dark days are
no. Stop singing. Let's end it right now.
Okay. It's way too difficult to sing anyway. Okay. Yeah. Well, people, I hope you enjoyed yourself. We did it in almost 2 hours, which is kind of okay, I guess.
2 hours, 24 minutes, and
yeah, that's with the pre-quarter of an hour. So, yeah. You should die more often, says Ashley. Anyway, I had a lot of fun. I could have talked a lot more about everything. We didn't even talk about the plane of ash, the plane of lightning, the plane of dust, the plane of minerals, and everything, which are all these quasi and para-elemental planes. Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I love the episode, man. I can't wait for the next time. So
now I'm experiencing happiness. So thank you so much for that. I still have to cue the Talking Void outro. So here we go. It was nice to have you in chat. You were very funny this time around. Well, you're always pretty funny. You know, anyway.
And you can follow all on our socials on Linktree.
Yeah, we have socials.
Yeah, wait. I'll put it in chat. It's what was it again?
> socials. And of course, see you next Monday on the Precipice of Dreams. The Tuesday after that with Jasper's Laboratory, where I'll be doing stuff. I didn't get any input from you, but maybe we'll discuss something about running an adventure in the plane. I don't know. That would take away from my kind of build-up that I'm doing now, but it's not that important anyway. And the Monday after that, we'll do the Precipice of Dreams with our very special guests. And Ashley will be the DM. Can I just say it, that you will be joining?
Me, you mean?
No, I'm waiting for chat.
No. Just leave it. Leave some surprises for social media.
Yeah, look at our socials. You'll see it there. Yeah.
Linktree.ee/voidcastlive.
Yeah, they put a dot in the word tree there. Strange. Yep. Anyway, see you soonish. Goodbye.
Bye all. Thank you for joining.